All right, so for this next segment of the podcast, I kind of want to take 10 NFL draft prospects and equate them a NFL player. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so for this next segment of the podcast, what I want to do is I want to take 10 NFL prospects coming into the 2023 draft and equate them an NFL player comparison, equivalent, whatever you want to say. Um, this is a pretty common tactic. I think everybody kind of has their player comps for each player, but I like mine a lot, and I feel like mine, at least in my head, makes sense. I think some of these are pretty standard that you'll see a lot of people comparing them to, but I think some of them are pretty unique. So let me know what you guys think of my list down below. I want to hear what your comps are for certain players, either players that I mentioned or players that I haven't mentioned if you guys have a really good comp for. But kicking off the list, I want to start with Bryce Young, who I've made it no secret is my favorite quarterback in this draft class. Bryce Young's player comp to me is Deshaun Watson. You look at their physical attributes, and they're maybe not as similar, but I'm talking about the style of which they play. They both play extremely fluid. They both play with great pocket awareness. I'm talking about Deshaun Watson back in Houston before, the allegations and the Browns and the big contract and everything. Back to peak Deshaun Watson. Played with a lot of fluidity, great pocket movement, very loose hips, ability to extend plays. I would say that both of them are capable runners. However, they don't choose to run often. They're pass, 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 pass. They're not, looking one read and running. They remind me very much of the way they play, the arm angles they throw at. I think a lot of the strengths of Deshaun Watson are strengths of Bryce Young. Obviously, Deshaun Watson's bigger. He's taller. He probably weighs a little bit more. But Bryce Young, to me, his play style is very reminiscent of Deshaun Watson. Now we're going on to Jalen Carter, the former consensus number one player in this draft before his legal matters. I think Jalen Carter equates to Jeffrey Simmons, the defensive tackle for the Tennessee Titans. Jeffrey Simmons, to me, is one of the best defensive tackles in this game. He is one of, if not the best, behind Aaron Donald, pass rushing defensive tackles, in my opinion. Also plays great against the run. You can stick him up the middle, and the middle of your defense is fine. He is insanely good against the run. So Jalen Carter, to me, is very reminiscent of Jeffrey Simmons. Will Anderson, the best edge rusher in this draft class, to me, reminds me a lot of Von Miller. Von Miller and Will Anderson are big guys, big athletic guys, long arms. They have a long list of pass rush moves they use. Very productive in college, both of them were. And Von Miller, very productive in the pros. I see the same for Will Anderson being very, very productive. So I would equate Will Anderson to Von Miller. Will Levis, I think Jay Cutler is the best pro comparison for Will Levis, a guy with all the arm talent in the world, probably some accuracy issues. In the case of Cutler, definitely some maturity issues. But if Will Levis, there was a time where Jay Cutler was a really good quarterback. Now, that time was not a long time, and it didn't last for a long time, but there was a time where Jay Cutler was a good quarterback. And Will Levis, if he can truly reach his full potential, I think can be what Cutler was in his peak. But, Will Levis, we'll have to see what the accuracy, but the arm talent is there. I mean, he can launch the ball a mile. The arm talent is 100% there. I like Will Levis and Jay Cutler as a pairing right there. Another quarterback, we're going to talk about C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud's pro comparison, in my opinion, is Dak Prescott. Two guys who I think are very mature, very well put together, very stable. You're not going to have any issues with them, going and getting in trouble or doing anything like that. And to me, they're both good athletes, not great, good athletes, who are very accurate. They have great ball placement. They can put the ball where it needs to be. But Dak and C.J. Stroud are really not scrambling kind of guys. I mean, they can, again, pick up a first down here or there. They're athletic. But C.J. Stroud and Dak are guys that are mainly going to just stay in the pocket and deliver strikes. So I see a lot of comparisons between the two of them. Brian Branch, the safety from Alabama, reminds me a lot of Jamal Adams. And that is not the diss that some of you think it is. I'm a Seahawks fan. I love Jamal Adams. I think Brian Branch's game is very reminiscent of Jamal Adams. Safeties that are physical, that can play the run, that can cover, kind of do everything, almost like a Derwin James type. I'm not going to be comparing a rookie to the best safety in the league, though. But I think it's a little bit more It's a little bit more physical, kind of like a Jamal Adams is. I could see Brian Branch getting some sacks in the NFL. So I'm going to compare him to Jamal Adams. Next, we have Anthony Richardson, the draft's most polarizing prospect, I would say. Anthony Richardson, his comparison is Cam Newton. I feel like that's fairly obvious. That's what a lot of people are saying. Big, strong, fast quarterbacks with cannons of an arm who at times struggle with passing. The accuracy, obviously, with Anthony Richardson, I think he only completed like 55% of his passes or something. Not a whole lot of passing touchdowns, but the potential and the reason that Cam Newton got drafted first overall, and the reason that Anthony Richardson is probably going to get drafted very high as well, is the potential. There is lots and lots of potential. I think Anthony Richardson has the highest ceiling of any prospect in this class, as Cam Newton did back in 2011. And listen, for Cam Newton, it worked. Cam Newton had a really good career for about 9 years, I'd say. He was really good for like 9 years. Won an MVP, took the Panthers to a Super Bowl. I would not call that a bust at all. I think Cam Newton was well worth the first overall pick. Maybe you could argue Von Miller, Julio. Cam Newton was good. And I think Anthony Richardson can see a lot of the same thing. They just need to get him in a good spot with some good coaching, and I feel like he could be more than adequate, and he can showcase his unique skill sets. Let's talk about the best running back in this draft class, Bijan Robinson. I feel like he best translates to Saquon Barkley. Athletic freaks. I think that, first of all, Bijan Robinson is the best running back prospect since Saquon Barkley. But they're both freak athletes who are super strong, super fast, super well built. Both ran good 40s. Both can probably bench press a whole bunch. Both really don't have much weaknesses in their game. If I had to point to one spot for both of them, it would probably be pass protection. But I mean, what running back really is a great pass protector? If we're being honest, both can run the ball. Both are good at contact balance. Both have breakaway speed. Both are competent pass catchers, which I think is a skill that sets them apart from, which will set Bijan Robinson apart, and which sets Saquon apart from the rest of the league. So there we go. Jackson Smith and Jigba, starting off with receiver. I like him to Cooper Kupp, guys who aren't fast. They don't have blazing speed, but they'll beat you with their route running. They'll beat you with their craftiness and their hands. That's what Cooper Kupp has made a career of. You're not seeing Cooper Kupp, beating the defense over the top for an 80-yard bomb. It's, out route, zig route, slant route, post route, da-da-da. It's all of those things. Timing, the footwork, everything. Same skills attributed to Jackson Smith and Jigba. Listen, guys, there's a reason he didn't run the 40-yard dash. All right, he knew that he probably wasn't going to score very high, and I don't blame him. But he did well in the three-cone drill as well. So a good route runner, good hands, not really have breakaway speed. I like JSN to Cooper Kupp. And then my last comparison for today, I'm going to talk about another receiver. I'm going to talk about Jordan Addison. I think he's very similar to Tyler Lockett. They have this on the NFL.com website for his draft profile. I saw this a few weeks ago, and I've been thinking about it and actually really like it. Guys who are very crafty, like we said, are not the physical gift, are maybe not the most physically gifted, maybe like a Quentin Johnson is in this draft, but guys who are crafty, great footwork, great burst off of the ball. Tyler Lockett and Jordan Addison, they can run any route in the route tree. It really doesn't matter. So you're getting a great route runner with good hands, guy who has good burst, who's quick. So I think that Jordan Addison compares very well to Tyler Lockett. Let me know what you guys think of this list down below. If you guys have an issue with my list, let me know. Or if you guys have any other comparisons for either players I mentioned or players I didn't mention, make sure to comment it down below. I've been loving your guys' comments and all of your support. I really appreciate it, to be honest. So let's go ahead and wrap this video up, and then we will kind of end the episode. So, the NFL Combine happened this week, obviously, and we had some winners and losers, and I'll make a video about that on Wednesday when everything's, officially wrapped up. Kind of make a video on that, but I just want to say I thought this year was a good year for the Combine. I thought we had a lot of guys really surprise and do some good things. And I think the Combine, some people say the Combine is boring to watch. I actually really like watching the Combine. I like watching these guys in the pre-draft process because, to me, the Combine does a lot to determine what teams these guys go to. So if a guy, if a guy's like a middle first rounder and he does great at the Combine, maybe he vaults himself to being a top 10 pick, stuff like that. So I think the Combine is very interesting. We don't really have a lot else going on. We're about to enter a dead period in the NFL, unfortunately, so it'll kind of be up in the air. It's kind of like we have a couple of months till the draft. We have about a month and a half, month and a half to the draft. So it's kind of, a little dead period here for a second, but I will be bringing you guys as much content as I possibly can. I love covering the NFL. I love covering everything that happens. Obviously, we have free agency that's going to come up soon, so we'll have stuff to talk about there. We'll talk about the new contracts, trades, everything like that. So if you guys don't want to miss it, make sure to subscribe to the channel. And if you guys have anything that you guys want me to cover, make sure to comment it down below. I'll be happy to cover it. But without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and end this episode. I appreciate you guys watching. Appreciate whoever has stuck to the end. Means a lot to me. So I'm going to end off this episode, and I will see you guys on Wednesday. Peace out.